go? All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on Facebook and on YouTube Live for our interview with Brittany Epps. My name is Jasmine. I'm an educator at the Michigan Science Center, and I'm also a STEMinista. Now, you're probably wondering, what is a STEMinista? A STEMinista is someone who is interested in science, technology, engineering, and math. It's someone who is interested in experimenting and designing and building a career in the STEM pathway. And we have a program at the Michigan Science Center called the STEMinista Project, which focuses on offering special opportunities for girls in 4th through 8th grade with STEM and with girls in mind. And this includes a lot of awesome programs like STEMinista Saturdays and even meet and greets with STEMinista role models, which brings us to why we're here today. So I do have on our interview Brittany. Hello, Brittany. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm doing well, Jasmine. How are you today?
I'm so good. So if you want to start us off by giving us an intro about where you're from, where you work, and what got you inspired to start in the STEM career.
Definitely. So I am actually originally from Charlotte, North Carolina. I've been in Detroit for about 5 to 6 years now, working with the youth here in different communities in Novi, Southfield, and now really specifically in Detroit. I am a software engineer at StockX, which is a startup downtown. It's a e-commerce platform. We specialize in selling luxury items like select sneakers, watches, handbags, certain clothing, certain designers, things like that. So I'm a software developer downtown Detroit. And what really got me started, honestly, was just computers. Like I've had I've had the ability to have a PC, a personal computer, in my home since I was a small kid, and my mom used to get on me all the time about taking it apart, and but I'd put it back together and I'd be okay, so she'd be okay. But really, that just got me interested in working with computers, with always being tech savvy. Like I've always been like that person in my family, like, oh, like connect our router. Oh, my computer's not working, like things like that. Not really what software developers do, but I've always tried to keep myself in that space. And I just decided to continue. I got lucky again. There's a lot of luck here and there, and took a programming course in middle school. And I took that into high school, and I took another programming course there. And so from there, my path for me was pretty straightforward. I always kind of wanted to be a Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg type. So I was like, okay, how do I do that? What did they do? What did they look at? And it was computer science. So everything else from that kind of just, it seems self-explanatory.
Sorry, I like to nerd out and like I'm writing down all these cool things that you're saying. So it sounds like you were kind of a tinkerer when you were coming up, and then that turned into focusing on engineering or skills that are directly applicable in a job sense, right, towards a career
Agreed.
path. And
Yeah.
then it led you into computer programming. So the first thing I noticed is that you're really into shoes. So what was that jump for you between computer programming and then designing and being really interested in fashion?
Yeah. So not necessarily like a jump. I try to stay in both worlds. But yeah, I agree. They're two completely different things. Like what I do for software development, I can't take those methods to how I look at when I'm looking at like right now I'm working on designing sneakers, customizing sneakers, and things like that, and other fashion things that I do on my Instagram and stuff. And quarantine just has me doing a lot of different things right now.
Yeah.
So it really was just understanding that I had a passion for both things, and that even though they don't go hand in hand, doesn't mean I can't, carve out some of my time, use that as like another outlet. A lot of my outlets
Mm.
over the past like 10 to 15 years with being a software developer tend to be in that software development range. Like I always have ideas I want to work on, business ideas with other people. Of course, anytime somebody finds out you're a website developer, you're a mobile app developer, you do anything, they're like, great, I have this idea. So that's where a lot of my free time used to go to. But now when I'm not, educating, when I'm not teaching STEM, when I'm not developing at StockX or for a few other things, I just was like, let me get away from a computer screen for a little bit and play around with something that's not the normal engineering thing. And I love it. I love fashion. Like I've always loved sneakers. I think my sneaker love probably came in about the same time as my technology love. So they went hand in hand, honestly, for a while. Like I can remember my first pair of sneakers, like not my first pair of sneakers, but I can remember my first pair of Jordans. And like that's some of the stuff I talk about on my Instagram. So no, like it really just has developed together beside each other. And now I'm kind of like, okay, let me dive a little bit more into, now that I feel like I have a decent base to continue to grow in the technology space. Now I'm like, let's try something else. Like I'm always telling everybody, like, I don't know yet what I want to be when I grow up, right? Because I'm still growing. We're all still growing, all still learning. And yeah, right now I'm a software developer. I love software development. Maybe I go a different route in that, or maybe I go something in fashion next. There's so much time, hopefully, left in this life to try some different things. But what I've learned in STEM and everything can be applied to anything. Like that's definitely a big plus of being in STEM early on, is that I can apply that logical thinking, that solution based, that problem solving. I can apply that to anything now. And I apply it to my sneakers, like trying to get sneakers that are small releases or things like that. Like I'm able to apply those same methodologies, that same way of thinking from STEM to other things like fashion and sneakers.
You just said so much good
I
stuff
know.
in there. No, I love it. I'm trying to keep up. So I think it's really interesting because when we talk about STEM, I've also heard the rendition of STEAM, where you add in art, so science, technology, art.
Yeah.
Science, technology, engineering, art, and math, right? And I think what you said about STEM has applied to everything, those skills that you've learned there. I think it also ties in beautifully to art, right? Is that they live all together, and there are many different ways to express your nerdiness in STEM and also be very creative.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
love that.
I think honestly, as engineers, sometimes we forget that we are creatives in a sense. Like we create things, right? And so like they really do go hand in hand. Like each one of those things has its own discipline, its own way of doing things that you have to learn. You have to learn the history of it, the critiques of it, the techniques of it. They all really do go hand in hand. I agree with you.
Oh gosh. So you also mentioned about remembering you're getting your first pair of Jordans, and so I want to tie that into. I saw that you have some unboxing videos on your Instagram, and I noticed that you like to sniff the shoes, which like I'm about fresh smells. Like I love like cracking open a book and smelling it. I think it's very satisfactory, right? So tell me about what that process is for you. What are you looking for when you open the shoes? How did you get started? The unboxing videos, all of that.
Yeah. So, like I said, like I've always loved sneakers and stuff, but it's been like this last year when I've really decided to kind of showcase my love, as well as I'm just an educator through and through. If I can teach you anything that I know, like if I can go learn something and teach it, I'm extremely happy. And so I realized with sneakers it was no different. I was already having these conversations with other people who were aware that, hey, she likes sneakers and things like that. So I was already having these conversations, but now it's like well, let me just put it on like a platform, that has a larger audience. And let me see if I can get other people who may not really be into sneakers, or maybe they are, but they're not sure where to start. And I actually have a lot of friends in that realm too. And so I was like, well, how can I showcase what I'm already doing, basically? Like I would already buy those shoes if I wasn't doing a video for them. Like I really love sneakers. Like quarantine, I bought about 10 to 15 pairs over the past like 3 months. So I know it's a hobby. Like software development definitely helps with that hobby. But yeah, so just being able to do that and stuff, I was like, let me figure out a way for me to teach, basically. Let me figure out a way to teach sneakers. Let me figure out a way to teach my love for sneakers. And one of my favorite things is just unboxing something new, right? Like we all love new things, especially when we're into something new. So if you're an artist and it's a paintbrush, like I love different types of paintbrushes right now. My friend just put me onto like a filbert, which is like this beautiful fine tip, like absolutely love it for detail. So whether it's a paintbrush or whether it's whether it's just a gift, we all love unboxing things. We all love unboxing new things. And just to like that first moment when you like take a sneaker out the box that you've been waiting for, Now with quarantine, it takes like a month to get anything shipped. So the sneakers you've been waiting a month for, I've already thought about the outfits that I'm gonna put with it and things. That's really where my fashion comes in, with like the sneakers and creating outfits. So I've already thought about those things, and I'm like, oh man, finally I get to really look at it. Like I don't really go into stores, even if the stores were open. I'm not a big like go into sneaker stores type person.
Okay.
I tend to know exactly what I'm looking for. So I usually just use online just because the access is just infinite. So just like finally from a picture to seeing it on other people's feet, I finally have it in hand. And that smell, it's like a new car smell. It really is. It's like every time it's like a new car smell. I enjoy it every single time.
Oh, I hear that so much. So I think you kind of answered this question already, but when you're planning outfits, do you dress from the sneaker up, or do you make the outfit and then match the sneaker to the outfit?
It's, you know what? It really just depends. Sometimes, like if it's like a certain event or something, I'm pretty aware of like the message I'm trying to come across, or like the style I'm trying to go with, whether
Ooh,
it's like a classy or like a like it's there really is just like if it's, oh, we're going out to hang, oh, we're going out for brunch, like all those different type of things, at least to me, require like different type of clothing.
yeah.
So it kind of depends on that. But sometimes I'm like, I really want to wear these kicks. I'll put together an outfit. But then sometimes I'm like, I have this perfect short shirt combination, and these kicks just happen to go perfectly with them. Like I think I fall
Yeah.
in love with colors. So I tend to have like the same type of colors within my closet as far as shirts and stuff, and then within my kicks. So it kind of they play off of each other. I it's a nice symbiotic relationship.
I That's a very wholesome way of looking at it. I guess there is no one right answer to that question.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
It just depends on your vibe and what you're going into.
oh yeah.
I I love that. Um, do you find your artistic ways sneaking into how you're doing engineering? I don't know if that's a very linear question, but I'm wondering how those two worlds merge and if you find them peeking into one another.
I find I kind of still find it the other way around, because my base really is engineering. Like that's where a lot of my skills come from, even with
Yeah.
problem solving and things like that. So I tend to more so find myself applying art, engineering concepts to art, for better or for worse sometimes. But
Yeah.
I find myself like, like with engineering, when I'm trying to learn new technology, I go about it a certain way. Like I'm looking at YouTube videos of maybe somebody like doing tests or what have you. I'm looking at articles, things like that. And the same kind of goes in with art and fashion. Like I'm looking up new techniques. So just like engineering, looking up the best new methods that are coming out. As well as I am looking at YouTube videos, like looking at different concepts, trying to understand different concepts. I will say there is one thing I can pull back the other way, and I feel like, kind of getting into art has allowed my mind to kind of be a little bit more free and not necessarily constrained to like the engineering concepts of like, not saying like gravity or things like that, but just kind of letting kind of go of those kind of constraints that come along with engineering. And so I've kind of taken that back to engineering to reimagine solutions. Like it's the software developers, like we always say, especially with the different languages that are there are a million and one ways to write like the same piece of or the same feature for code, right? To get one thing done. There's a million and one ways to write it. Your code could be like 4 lines, it could be 20 lines, it'll all do the same thing. And I've taken like trying to be outside the box with art and stuff, and trying to go back to being outside the box with engineering. Like I feel like kids, like I one of the reasons I enjoy teaching kids is because they think outside the box. They're not already constrained to those things that we've allowed, life and learnings and things to constrain us to. So with art and taking that back to engineering, I can say like, wait a second, like, yeah, this seems like the best solution, but what if we try to do this a different way? Like, can I reimagine this in a way where I kind of take away the constraints and say, well, what if I could do it this way? And then try to figure out if I can really, find technology solutions to do it that way. That would be the one pullback I would get from art back to engineering.
Yeah. I really enjoy what you said at the beginning of this is that it's always a learning process,
Yes.
and it's always researching and getting something new and being inspired by something new. And I think that's something important that we say, not just for kids and people who are coming up in the STEM field, but also like us as educators. We are
Yeah.
constantly learning and trying to take in new information, and then give that back out, right? So I don't think
Yeah.
there's any sort of like hierarchical, like I'm an educator and so I know all of this and I'm giving it to you. It really is a conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's awesome about STEM, right? Fields in general is that it's a big conversation between all these different disciplines, right? You
I
mentioned that
agree.
they're all their separate skills and the things that you learn to get there, but
Mhm.
when it comes all together, that's where you really get the project.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you, Jasmine.
Yeah. This is such a good combo. Okay, I love it. So let's dive into a little bit more of your software engineering job. What's one thing that you, or a couple things that you really enjoy about it?
So my top thing that I love about my job is that I mix my two passions, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
like I get to do what like a lot of people tell you can't do. And it's like I get to love my job. Like I get
Yeah.
to mix two things. Like I work for StockX, and StockX, if you go to the website, the first thing you're gonna see is sneakers. Like it is the first thing. They build this concept that basically all goods, or at least luxury items like sneakers that are given out in like a scarcity model. So they give out a certain amount that are going to be lower than the people, the amount of people that want them. So you build this need and things like that. And StockX is built on the model that all of those are basically commodities like stocks, and the public
Mm-hmm.
really decides what the cost for these type of goods are. So just to kind of like, I do have somewhat of a love for the stock market, and those concepts. I've been learning that after college, thanks to like my husband as well as other friends. So just learning those concepts and seeing that applied to sneakers. And then just like I said, being able to like every day build technology solutions that help people buy sneakers. Like I can't think of a more
Perfect.
perfect job for exactly, I can't think of a more perfect job for me where like I wake up every morning, I'm excited. Like I'm excited to go work. I'm excited to go help a customer out. I'm excited to go make sure that that customer gets an item that they paid their heart earned money for. I'm excited for them to get an item maybe they've been looking for a long time. Like before StockX and things like that, I would go to sneaker conventions and stuff where you're looking for
Mm.
like particular sneakers and you're hitting like the consignment shops and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And StockX kind of those times were fun, so I can't take that away. But StockX definitely gives you that global availability. Like I can get a sneaker that maybe somebody in Korea has, and now I have that ability to go buy that and not have to travel there to go get it. So like that, just the joining of those two, like it feels good. I hope that I always get to have a job, or if it's not StockX, where I'm doing something that I love and I'm using technology to do that.
Oh, I love that. I have minimal knowledge of anything stocks or like anything computer programming, and
Yeah.
so to hear you be very expressively excited about your job is very exciting and very inspiring.
Oh
At the
yeah.
same
Oh yeah.
time.
That's where that term nerd comes from. Like
Yes.
that's really why like I use the term, like my name on Instagram is Nerd Wonder. Like I have
Mhm.
a notebook that has Nerd Wonder on it. Like I write it everywhere now. Like it's like my little
Perfect.
tag on some of my art stuff. Like I really dive into it because I like it's kind of almost like I remember growing up and nerd was like, oh, like don't be a nerd and this, that, and the third. Like it wasn't cool. And I was just like,
Yeah.
get that. Like I'll just take it. I'll make it cool. Or I won't make it cool and it'll just be mine and I don't really care. So it kind of just I was like, I want to take it. I want to make it my own. Like I love being a nerd and I love showing people the different intersections of like, especially
Hmm.
with STEAM and stuff. Like I tell people all the time, especially kids, like if you're interested in something that's outside of engineering, I promise you can find an intersection for engineering. So like
Yeah.
if it's art, like I got to talk to an artist a couple years ago who was working with a mobile app developer to build like this 3D visual of like an art exhibit. So things like that, like
Huh.
you, if you loved art, you could, work in that type of intersection. So So yeah, that's another reason I love nerd. I'm always excited. Like I'm pretty sure all the kids think I'm kind of a little kooky, a little crazy, a little corny. But I tell them up front, like, look, I love this stuff, and I hope that some of that passion kind of rubs off on you guys, you ladies, by the way.
Yes. So have you always been a nerd? Like, have you always identified with that label, or is it something that like you're just taking it and you're really taking hold of it now, right?
Yeah. No, always identify with it.
Yeah.
Like for real, like I was always the kid in high school who was like, oh, like your MP3 player is broken. Call Britney. Like you wanted certain things like on the computer and stuff or figure out certain things. Call Britney. So I was
Mhm.
always that techie nerd type. And then I remember just early on in college having conversations in the computer science department at North Carolina A&T about the difference between like a nerd, a geek, and a dork, and all these just like terms. And we decided then we're like, no, nerd is like it's a cool person who's like does this and that. So I've always related to it. I've leaned more into it. Probably in like the last 5 or 6 years, but no, I've always just kind of been like this. Just I don't know. I've always just loved it. I've just always loved technology, and then what I can create with technology, and then sharing that passion.
Yes, I hear that. I completely agree with you. I've always been a nerd. I think I had a conversation with my mom about the differences between like being a band nerd, but like being a theater geek, and like what what are the different titles there?
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I completely agree. One of the biggest coolest things about being a nerd is that you're automatically seen as very curious,
Hmm.
and so that very well feeds into my personality. I'm a very curious person, and I love STEM because it allows me to chase those questions and answers, being
Hmm.
curious. Um, so we're almost out of time, but I do want to. I know it's this is going so good.
I know.
If there's anyone who's watching who has questions for Brittany, please go ahead, type it in the chat, and those will get to me so that I can ask her. And while we wait for those questions to come in, I very quickly wanted to ask you about your quarantine adventures. And so I saw on your Instagram that you made a pair of sneakers for your 1 year old niece. Um, could you dive more into what other things you're getting into in quarantine or other fashions that you're inspired by?
Yeah, definitely. So definitely been customizing sneakers. I've become like just a YouTube fanatic because of quarantine. Ran out of stuff to watch. And so just looking at like different methods on customizing sneakers, hydro dip, which is like dipping the sneakers into water with paint
Yeah.
colors. My friends are actually trying to get me to do it with a canvas, so I might try that out this weekend. I know, right?
Yes.
So things like that. Definitely refurbishing clothing has been like one of my newer things too. Just been cleaning out things as of late. We just bought a house a couple months ago. So just cleaning out things and stuff. And I don't know, just decided I didn't want to throw out some of the things that I had that I wanted to maybe recreate. So I did some old overalls. They were pants. I cut them, cuffed them, made them shorts. And then they were light jeans. So I made them like this old vintage rust brown. Did a YouTube video on that. Thank you. Did a YouTube video
Yes.
on that. So that was fun. Just like I said, like just with quarantine and stuff, just trying to find different ways to expand my mind and things. So I've been doing a lot of hiking. Pure Michigan, of course, is a thing here. So a lot of hiking trails and stuff. I just bought some hiking sneakers, of course,
Yes.
sneakers. I got a hammock not too long ago, so I'll actually probably do some of that this coming weekend. Get away from a screen again, and just kind of unwind, listen to nature and everything, and relax some, write down some stuff, maybe journal. But but yeah, no, just like anything I can get my hands on right now. Like I keep buying, like I have a stencil maker now, and just more projects one after the other, some home things. Like I said, we just bought a house not too long ago, so
Congrats.
just trying to keep my mind busy.
Yeah. I I also nerd out about nature. I don't know if that's a real jump, but like the hammocking and the hiking boots, I'm
Hmm.
here for it. Absolutely,
Oh
get
yeah,
outside.
oh yeah.
With our last few minutes, I'm not seeing any questions pop up. So the last thing I want to ask you, well, two things. One, what advice would you give to girls who are watching now, who are interested in starting a career in STEM?
I would just say, well, if you're already interested, just go do it. You all have a lot of resources right now. Michigan Science Center, STEMinista program being one of them. Like, please tune in. I know there's a panel I'm on actually next week. There's some other things that they'll be looking to do virtually. Like, you have the resources in front of you. If you're interested, just ask the question for the adult. Hey, I want to, do this, or I want to go check out that, books, whatever resources you can get your hands on, make sure that you use them as much as possible. If you're not interested in STEM yet, I would just kind of ask, like, well, why are you not? And then remember, like I said, there's always those intersection of things. So bring art into the play if you're really thinking about STEAM and things like that. Like, find those ways where what you're interested in right now, whether it's maybe you're interested in dancing, maybe you're interested in playing video games, you could build them, like things like that. You can always find those intersections of your passion. So just like I said, keep a good head on, ask for those resources because they are there. There are a lot of free online resources if you have that ability. And pay attention to places like the Michigan Science Center, who are always making sure that to connect you ladies with other mentors and people who you can ask questions like me.
Absolutely. I love that. And the last question for you is, how do we stay engaged with you past our chat? So where can we find you?
Sure. So again, like I said, working with the Michigan Science Center on a few things. So if you really want to get in contact with me, you can always reach out to them, as well as my Instagram. So it's at nerdstar_101. Again, I've been rocking that for that Instagram handle was my Twitter handle and Facebook and whatever we used to have a couple years ago. So that's been a while. So that's there. That's more sneaker and stuff content. Also work with a couple of different organizations around Detroit, like Math for Success and things. So you can pretty much find me anywhere. I try to post when I am doing classes and things for these type of organizations, and I know they post as well.
Yeah. Awesome. This has been amazing. Thank
This
you
is
so
really
much for
thank you, ladies, for having me so much. This was
yeah. Oh gosh, I love these kind of conversations. They get me inspired for the rest of my day. So again, thank you,
oh yeah,
Brittany, for joining us today. And thank you all for watching us. If you want to stay current with the STEMinista Project, you can find us on Facebook at the STEMinista Project. You can also sign up for our newsletter, the STEMinista Spark. You can also sign up to be a role model, just like Brittany. And for the next thing coming up for us, this coming Tuesday at 7 p.m., we're going to have a You Matter in STEM virtual event where we will have other panelists, including Brittany there, talking about self-care, self-confidence, and community for girls and role models in the STEM field. I hope we see you all there and enjoy the